is up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Mobility Flow. Mobility Flow is all about moving through a full range of motion, controlling that range of motion, extending that range of motion, improving your flexibility, mobility, performance in your workouts and everyday life, as well as reinforcing proper alignment. Think of this workout as taking your body in for a weekly tune-up where we make sure that everything's moving as it should, it feels good, so we're ready to tackle the week ahead. Don't get it twisted. This is not your same old static, boring stretching workout. I can't stand those. I cannot stay focused that long. So today we'll be combining elements of yoga with functional fitness for a low impact, low intensity flow based workout. Each movement will flow into the next, so do your best to keep up with me, but I will be taking you step by step through each movement, letting you know where you should be feeling it, how we should be moving and transitioning, all that jazz. So all you'll need for today's workout is yourself, your body, a bit of room to move around, and that is it. If you're ready to get started, make sure you shoot me a thumbs up and let's get into it. Getting into our starting position, we're going to be starting this flow down on the ground in a child's pose position. As a reminder, one movement will flow into the next, so do your best to keep up with me. But if you fall a little bit behind or it takes you a second to get into position, don't worry. As long as you're doing your best, you are breathing, you are relaxing into each movement and focusing on where you're supposed to be feeling it, how those muscles are feeling, how different ranges of motion feel. That is what counts. So do your best to keep up with me. Don't worry if you fall a little bit behind, but let's go ahead now and get into that child's pose because we are getting going right heck in now. Dropping the bum back towards the heels, gently swaying side to side as we feel that stretch all the way up our sides, through our back, through our shoulder, a little bit up the backs of our arms, and just sway with me here. What I want you to do next is exhaling as we hunch our back up, coming all the way forward, inhaling as we drop into a cobra. Pause here for a moment, feeling that stretch all the way up your front side, and then as we exhale, we're going to reverse the motion, pulling that belly button back up into the spine, dropping back onto those heels. Inhale here, and then repeat. Nice and slow, nice and controlled, feeling how that emphasis changes as we go through the range of motion. All right, next exercise, I want you to do the same thing. So coming back onto the heels, big inhale back here. As we exhale, we're hunching, and then we're moving to an inhale and extending. Once we are in cobra, I want you to give me a nice full neck circle. Slow, controlled, feeling that stretch all the way around your neck before reversing and repeating. Your breath if you're still doing one here with me, and then we're going to bring it back into the child's pose. This time what we do is as you come forward, I want you to bring one of your legs with you into a kneeling mountain climber. Hold this for a brief pause, feeling the stretch up the back of your thigh, and reverse. Repeating side to side as we go. Your rep if you need to, then bring it back to your heels to that child's pose. Same thing, stepping forward into that kneeling mountain climber, but add a little twist for me as we push into that knee. Bring it back and repeat on the other side Bringing the knee forward, twisting and pushing out against the knee as we do to deepen that stretch. Finish your rep if you need to. And then what I want you to do is we have a few seconds to get into our next position. Come to a cross-legged position in the middle of your mat, whatever works, facing me on however you're watching me. We're gonna go into a seated lateral reach. Just like this, focusing on lengthening, elongating the spine, nice long lines as we reach. Again, feeling the stretch all the way up your side, through the sides of your stomach, just above your hip, the oblique, the lats, the shoulders, the arms. Stay nice and tall with your posture. What I want you to do now is scooch back if you need a little bit more room. Bring your legs out into a straddle. We're going to do straddle rotations. So rotating this way, pressing the leg that's in front into the ground, rotating this hip over, then walk your hands to the other side and repeat. We should be feeling this in the hamstring, the back of the thigh of the front leg, and through the hip of the back leg. What I want you to do next is a straddle forward fold. So hands behind your head, lower as far as you are comfortable controlling, and then push down into the ground to raise back up. So repeat that with me, adjusting if you need to. Nice and slow, no bouncing, controlling the lengthening of your muscles, then pushing those legs into the ground to control the raise back up. Combine the previous two moves. So walking your hands over, what I want you to do is put one hand behind your head, swoop it back to the other side, and repeat. So we're doing that rotation, then we're doing a little swoop, and repeat, alternating side to side as we go. We've got 15 seconds to get into a 90-90 position. So what that means is I want your left leg lead. We want to create a 90-degree angle with our front leg and with our back leg. Both of these are about to 90 degrees, and there's about 90 degrees here. What we're going to do is put our hands in front of us and do a nice, slow and controlled forward fold. Lowering as far as you are comfortable, making sure to keep it slow, keeping that spine nice and long, and feeling this especially in that front glute. From here, what we're going to do is stand in the same position, lean forward ever so slightly. I want you to try to lift that back foot off the ground. All right, the way that we do this is by pressing this foot and this knee into the ground, leaning forward a little bit, and rotating that back hip inward. So nice and slow, don't bounce it, Do your best. You may need to wiggle around to find a position that works for you, especially if you're not so good on the hip mobility front. And just control this here with me. We're going into a 90-90 lift, so keep your feet where they're at. I want you to press into both of these feet and both of these knees as we squeeze the glutes to raise up from this 90-90 position. Control the lower and repeat. It looks simple, but it will really challenge your hip mobility and control. We're going to switch sides. We've got 15 seconds to shift on over to that 90-90 position on the other side. So as a reminder, that means front leg bent to about 90, back leg bent to about 90 degrees between the two, and we're going to repeat, starting with that forward fold. Making sure to keep the spine nice and long as we lower, correcting yourself if you need to. Know that it's normal for one side to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more mobile, a little bit stronger, have those subtle imbalances side to side. That's why we're doing this now, to help resolve any imbalances. Going into that back leg lift, so remember, pressing this into the ground, pressing this into the ground, slight forward lean, and try to lift that back foot up for me. I know, it's tough. This leg's definitely harder for me than the other one, but do your best. Keep it slow, keep it controlled, even if you're just hovering off the ground like I am. Cramp, just give it a second, that's okay. You can always bring it back. All right, from there we're going to go into the 90-90 lift again. So as a reminder, firm pressure across all of our contacts as we thrust up. Brief hold before controlling the lower back down. Flexor in terms of a stretch, and the front glute for strength. All right, from here, plant those hands down on the ground. What we're going to do is get into an adductor stretch. I'm actually going to rotate for you so you can see this a bit better. Extend one leg out to the side, just like that, so we feel a subtle inner thigh stretch. And from here, we're going to rock back and forth. So just like this, deepening the stretch as we rock back, and then back to neutral, where our hands are under our shoulders. From here, we're going to do a similar exercise, so rock it back for me. But what I now want you to do is bend this knee, lead with that knee as we rock out, and then bring it back to center and repeat. This one's going to feel really, really good for that hip, for that inner thigh. It's a much deeper inner thigh and groin stretch than the previous one. You might even feel it a little bit on the other leg when we get out to this position. Okay, so make it smooth, keep it controlled, and stay repeating this with me. We've now got just under 15 seconds to switch sides, so we're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. Extend that leg out, make sure you've got enough room because we are getting going right now, starting with that rocking stretch. Again, same thing, rock it back for me. Now pushing out into that knee, feeling the stretch all the way through the inner thigh, groin, a little bit of the groin on this leg. Bring it around, back, and repeat, just like that. From there, we're going to have 15 seconds to get into a high lunge position. So I'm going to rotate back around for you, snug this mat back up because she is traveling today. And we're going to get into our hands and knees. Extend one leg out, bring the other one forward into a nice high lunge. From here, we're going to alternate between the high lunge and the low lunge. Gently going up and down. As we drop down, feeling that stretch in this back hip flexor deepen. Same thing with a slight twist, quite literally. I want you to take your left arm, put it behind your head, starting from the high lunge. As we drop into the low lunge, I want you to rotate up, reach for the sky, allow this knee to move out as this hip drops down. Feel that stretch deepen, and bring it back to high lunge. As we drop down, it's the same thing, allow the knee to move out, rotation through the back, and allow that bottom hip to deepen in its stretch. Keep going with me. It's not a race. We're not in any rush. I just want you focusing on your range of motion and controlling that range. What we're going to do now is step that back leg forward so it's nice and close, but it's there for support. I want your hands on your knees, putting as much weight as you can forward. I want you to really challenge how much mobility is there in that ankle. If you need to put your hands down on the ground for support, that's okay. What I want you to do is, as we rock forward each time, go as far forward as you can while still keeping that heel on the ground. Use your body weight to help you push further and help you challenge that ankle mobility. This is really important for squats and any squat-based movement that we do. All right, 15 seconds to switch to the other side and repeat that little high lunge sequence. So let's bring the right leg in front. Let's get into the high lunge position because we are getting going in, right? Heck in it now. So going from the high lunge again down to the low lunge. You can really see it now on that back leg. When I drop to the low lunge, we're feeling that stretch all the way up the front of the thigh, the hip flexor. Depending on how tight your core is, you might feel a bit of a core stretch here. Just slowly alternating from that high lunge to low lunge, really controlling it, breathing into the stretch.
That's right.
All right, same thing again, but we're going to add that twist. So starting from the high lunge, as we drop down to the low lunge, I want you to reach up for the sky as we rotate. We allow that front knee to travel out as we deepen the stretch of the hip on the bottom leg. Bring it back, return to high lunge, drop it down. As we drop, we open up, deepening that stretch, and bring it back.
That's right.
All right, bringing that back leg forward so that we can shift our weight onto that ankle. Again, I want you just rocking back and forth, using your body weight to assist as far as you can without that heel lifting off the ground. I know it's tough, but this is going to really help you achieve a greater range of motion, a greater depth on our squat and squat-based exercises. We've now got 15 seconds to get into position for our next flow that's going to continue to challenge your ankle and foot mobility. So we'll be going from a bear to down dog. Flex those toes under for me as we are hovering up now, pushing back to a down dog. What I want you to do from here is drop the knees as we do, peeling the foot off the ground. Lightly tap them on the ground as you feel that stretch through the big toe. Then extend back up. Dropping it down, visualizing peeling the foot off the ground, feeling the pressure on the big toe here, getting a good stretch, then lifting the hips back up. Repeat from there for me, really focusing on feeling those feet, feeling those ankles. We're going to drop it down to our knees. What I want you to do is put your elbows on the ground. We're going to do alternating shoulder taps. So from this stretched position, reach back for the shoulder, give it a tap. Pause here for a moment as you feel that stretch deepen through the underside of your armpit, through the lat. Bring it back and alternate. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Finish your rep if you need to. Before coming back up to quadruped, we're going to do a thread the needle. So I want you to rotate and reach up for the sky. Then as we come down, thread that arm through, getting a nice rotation, a nice stretch along the back side of that shoulder. Bring it back up to the quadruped and repeat on the other side. Give me a good reach. Then threading that needle through, rotating as you do, feeling that stretch along the back side of the shoulder. And repeat. If you have one more rep you want to do to even out the sides, do that now with me. And what we're going to do moving into our next exercise is flatten yourself out on the ground. We're going to finish with a diamond angel with rotation. So starting hands behind the head, elbows down, lift, reach. As we bring the arms around our back, I want you to rotate so your palms are facing the ceiling. Drop the elbows, lift the elbows. Palms facing up, rotate so palms are facing down. Bring it back, drop it down, lift it up, and repeat. Taking your time. Even though our flow is technically over, if you want to get a couple more reps, you are more than welcome to now. I am going to sit it up and come back to kneeling. That was a great flow. I gotta say, after this week of training, I was feeling pretty beat up. I was feeling pretty exhausted, and I was definitely ready for something like this. But now that I feel all relaxed, rejuvenated, I feel ready for the week ahead. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's mobility flow. I hope you liked the pacing of it. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely shoot me a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If there's maybe a particular area that you'd like to target more in the future, I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thank you for working out with me, and I can't wait for another week of awesome workouts.